Oye, mi gente, welcome back to the third season of Oye, mi gente podcast. Thank you so much for sticking with us through another season. I am eternally grateful to you all for tuning in. If this is your first time listening, welcome. I appreciate you as well. This is Viv Moran. I'm a multimedia artist from South Jamaica, Queens, and your favorite tia. At this time, I would like to start us off with our daily affirmation. I want to invite you all, my beautiful gods and goddesses, and everyone in between who tune in every week. Again, if this is your first time listening, welcome. I invite you to join in as well. Affirmation. I am good enough. I believe in myself. I am not worthless. Now that we have charged our inner spirit crystals, I will now introduce our guest, Carlita Lopez. Carlita Lopez is a Dominican photographer and visual artist. Born and raised in the Bronx, her artwork shows her love for her culture and her hometown of NYC with a pop art twist to it. Recently inducted into the Swizz Beatz Dean Collection, her art speaks of the native New Yorker and Bronx Girl experience with series such as Bodega Dreams and Merengue. She has had 3 solo exhibitions, Bodega Dreams, the artist formerly known as Carla, and La Botanica, all held in Uptown, NYC. She has participated in countless exhibitions in NYC and Art Basel in Miami. One of her biggest inspirations is the musician Prince, to whom she owes a lot of her motivation and drive to, and has paid many homage to him and his legacy through her art. She hopes to continue to inspire women everywhere to follow their dreams and be themselves. Hi, Carlita.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good as well. How are you feeling? How's your spirit?
I'm excited. I usually don't do a lot of interviews, so this is a really dope experience.
Hey, popping that cherry.
That's right.
So to start the interview, I would like to offer you to take a deep breath with me. Mm-hmm. This may get a bit heavy, and I want to make sure I'm able to hold space for those feelings as well. Ready?
Cool.
Take a deep breath. Okay, let's start. Let's go back to your parents' stories. Tell me about them.
Okay. My parents are both from Santiago in the Dominican Republic. My mom, she was an architect in Santiago, and my father was a physical education teacher out there as well. My whole family line has always been really involved in education, especially in the Dominican Republic. My grandmother was a dean of high school. She was a principal for a really long time. And my grandfather was also a judge in the Dominican Republic as well. So we've all kind of had that like service. They all had that kind of service to the community kind of aspect.
That's so awesome.
Thank you.
So their life, basically, before migrating to the U.S., your mom was an architect and your dad was...
He did physical education, so he was a gym teacher.
Nice.
Yeah, he played basketball out there for a really long time as well, so he was out there, like, really big in the sports community because basketball is surprisingly huge in DR. Not only baseball, but they play a lot of basketball out there, too, so he was really involved in his hometown. It's called Los Pepines, and it's right by El Monumento in Santiago. So that community has a lot of basketball stars came out of that community, and he played a big part like in the 80s, the late 70s and 80s. He played a big part of the basketball community out there. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
Did your parents meet out there or they met here?
They met out there. When my mom was an art teacher, she was an art teacher, and
Ooh.
yeah, so he was, trying to, mac it to my mom, and because she was a teacher, and they were both working at the same school, so like my dad would like see her and be like, oh, you should come on a date with me, whatever, and
Dímelo, mami.
see, mommy, tú estás buena and whatever. No, I'm kidding. Let me look. Nah, but yeah. So like, it's really interesting because my parents love to dance, both of them. So a lot of their love grew from going out to dance together, like all over Santiago, and just going to dance, like, and just music was so important in their relationship. So that's just like, it's really interesting how important music is to me now, and like how dance is so important to me as well. And my mom was working in the school, and then after she graduated, she was working in Sosua. Sosua is like a beach community out there, and she was working for a Canadian firm, like making resorts and stuff like that, like designing them. So she was there out there for a few years. So then my dad was always coming up to Sosua to come and see her, and it was dope. So yeah.
That's so awesome. And how did she get into architecture?
I'm not really sure because we haven't opened that part yet as to why she really got into it. Because as I'm getting older, I'm 28, so there's a lot of questions that I have unanswered about my mom, because it's always been kind of like what happened after me and like after I was born, and it's like who really was Magnolia? That's my mother's name. Like, and she became a mom at 21, and she went to school. She did school and she graduated with honors and everything. And I think for my mother, it was a way for her to create her own world in a sense, by like making, like, I've seen her designs and her stuff was like incredible. And I feel like she got into it sort of trying to create her own world and how she wanted to see it, because she was the third of 8 kids.
Wow.
Yeah, and my mom and my grandmother, she was a single mother, and she raised all of them. And my grandmother went through college, and she graduated with honors with 8 kids, and she did it on her own. And I felt like my mom got a lot of influence from my grandmother as well, because she's a strong woman, like. So, I mean, that's a question I have to ask her. I really gotta like delve into that with her.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I feel like also some of like these questions that we have for our parents, obviously they would want to talk to us about it, but then there's probably some things in there that are still a little bit too traumatic.
Right.
Because even with my mom, like if I ask her about her immigration story, which I have a whole recording of it, but I just feel like in a way she kind of like glamorized it. You know how they like believe that the U.S. is this big, happy place full of like opportunities, and she got that opportunity right off the back, and I'm just like, nah, like, be real.
Yeah.
But
yeah, because they glamorize it.
Yeah.
To this day in Latin America, they glamorize the U.S. and it's like, bro, like, it's really not all it's cracked up to be. Like, la gente piensa que uno anda rico aquí.
For real.
Like,
for real.
Yo, and una cosa, like, at the end of the day, like, yeah, I'm from New York and everything, but like, I feel like my problem with New York is that it's just a lack of empathy here. There's no empathy for anyone here. No. You know what I mean? Like, and
no, that's so true.
And it's just everybody's running to where they gotta get to. Nobody's present. Everybody's on their phone. Everybody's this, and nobody's present. And when you go to another country, when you go to DR, let's say, eso es tan tranquilo y la gente tan sentada afuera hablando, conversando, no en el teléfono, or like, yo, I gotta run over here, I gotta run over there. Like, it's a different quality of life.
Yeah, it's definitely like capitalism has its pros and cons.
Absolutely.
Pros and cons, because here, like obviously in the U.S., a lot of people are afforded certain opportunities, which is why they're able to keep going and move forward and make money while out there in our homelands, the opportunities are scarce.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's like if you got it, you're gonna try it.
Right.
You're going to make money, but you're not making
Enough.
enough. You're
Yeah.
not making the same amount.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
So when did they migrate?
My dad came over first. He arrived to New York because he came to New York one time and then he came back and then just still here. 1989. So 2 years before I was born. He came to New York. So I have a sister. I have an older sister. She was born out there in DR. So my mom came out with my sister to New York to come and visit my dad and kind of like check it out. And then my mom went back to DR. She got her stuff together. She said, okay, I'm coming to New York. She came to New York in 1990. 1990, like the end of 1990. And then she got pregnant with me. And then that's when she just ended up staying. So, yeah. So we've been here ever since.
So what pushed your parents to make that decision to like leave what they had behind and to come here? Because it kind of sounds like they had a pretty good life.
Right. I don't know. It's crazy. Like I've spoken to them before about it and I was just like, why did you come out here? My dad told me because where he's from, it's a poor neighborhood. It's a little poor neighborhood. Donde la casa todavía tienen techo de zinc y cosas así. So, when he was growing up and my grandmother was a single mother as well, it was really hard for him growing up. And it was really tough because he was the man of the house and he had to, do what he had to do para la casa. So he decided to come to New York so he could help his family out, essentially. You know what I mean? And like my dad came over here not knowing a lick of English and just like toughed it out. Like he told me his first job was at a McDonald's on 125th. That's what he told me.
Wow. Yeah. So from a gym teacher.
Right. And my dad was like, my dad in the community out there in DR, they used to do, él me dijo que ellos hacían como unos desfiles. Y él, like, since my dad loves to dance and shit, él hacía la coreografía for it.
Wow.
And it was like a band, and then they would do like these parades, and he told me that he would do the choreography for it. And I'm like, how cool is that though? Like, you're really out here like a grand marshal of a parade and shit. But like, he really was involved in the community, but he came over here and he continued that later on in my life. Like, he really got involved in the New York politics, like local politics and shit like that. So that's pretty cool. Awesome. So yeah. And my mom was in love. That's what it was.
That's amazing. So how was their experience? Did they ever tell you like the hardships that they went through?
Yeah, absolutely they did. When my mother was pregnant with me, she told me that it was a really hard time. Like, there was nights that she wouldn't eat because, estaban pasando trabajo, and ellos andaban de apartamento en apartamento.
Wow.
Until right before I was born. Like, most of the pregnancy, my mom was living on Sedgwick Avenue in the Bronx, on Sedgwick. Mm-hmm. Then she moved to what's that calle? It's in the Heights. It's like by 190th and Woody Crest. I think it's Woody Crest. And Woolworth.
Gotcha.
That's the street. Yeah, so they lived there up until she gave birth to me. And she told me it was tough. It was tough. Like, she didn't know English. She was out here. She was pregnant with me. Entonces, the culture shock. The culture shock, because like you're living a totally different life out here, And she told me that she just felt very alone, and it was just really sad. And she told me, she was like, that experience was like tough, that first year she was here, it was really tough on her because she also missed my sister. My sister was out in DR. So se le hizo muy difícil y mi papá estaba working odd jobs because, it's hard. It was hard. Like,
Yeah.
imagínate, you don't know English. It's going to be really difficult for you to get a job out here unless you want to be like a janitor or some shit, like, some off the books type of things, So it was tough. It was tough, yeah. It was a little bit.
And how was it for them? I didn't ask you about their status. Are they like naturalized citizens?
Yeah, they are.
And
Yeah.
have they spoken to you about, the experience with them going out there and starting the paperwork?
Yeah, I was actually with them like almost the whole time during their journey, and it was cool because, like, my mom ya tenía ¿cuántos años ya tenía aquí? Ya tenía como 20 años aquí.
Wow.
And she didn't go to DR. She had like 11 something years while going to DR because ella no tenía la residencia, un lío. So, just my parents ended up getting their citizenships like a month apart.
Wow. Okay.
So they ended up getting it together, and it was just such a beautiful experience just to see them like really going through this, and like for them, like for their own safety and for their own, like, and like watching my mom like haciéndome la pregunta like about like ven siéntate conmigo hazme la pregunta de la cosa, yeah, to study. And it was just like, it was cool because I was like, Mom, you feel like you're in college again, right? She's like, yeah, like I'm still learning because
That's amazing.
Yeah. And my mom did her test in English too. She did her thing in English. Yes, my mom is a G, and she did hers in English. And it was amazing. It was it was such a proud moment for my life.
Did they go through like lawyers, or like how did they start the process?
They went through lawyers. They went through lawyers, yeah. And it was such a weird period in my house, just this whole type of energy with that, because like my mom was like a little bit worried, and that she wasn't gonna pass the test, anxiety about it. And from the moment that they both decided that they really was gonna go for it, porque a mami le dieron la residencia, y ella dijo, I'm gonna do my citizenship, like, right, I'm trying to do it right now.
Yeah.
She's trying to get it out the way, because the more that you wait, it's gonna get harder for you to, and like with the way that the immigration laws are right now, like, you don't know, like they will deport you, and you've been living here 30 years, and they'll be like, all right, well, te jodiste, like,
That's a fact.
So you gotta be on point with stuff like that.
So pretty much, how was it for you growing up, pretty much being first generation, even though you're like the second child?
Yeah.
But you were pretty much born here.
Yeah. It was cool. Like my mom very much instilled in me, like, to know that I am Dominican, and that mi cultura, saber de dónde yo soy, de dónde mi familia, que son mi familia, and we kind of went. So this is a really interesting story. So when I was in school, well, my first language was Spanish. So yo aprendí español en mi casa. Then I went to school, I learned English, right? So my mom, she didn't know English, but she was watching Seinfeld. She would watch Seinfeld, a lot of Seinfeld. Yeah, my mom likes all those type of shows. So she was watching Seinfeld, and that's what actually helped her learn English.
Wow.
Yeah, I should tell Jerry Seinfeld, like, mira.
For real.
Right,
for
right.
real.
Like my mom, dad learned English by watching Seinfeld. And I grew up watching Seinfeld, so we would always sit together and watch Seinfeld and like just laugh at like that type of shit.
Stupid jokes.
Yeah, it's just stupid. Like, it's a show about nothing. It really is. But then it's like things that you relate to, though. I'm like, damn, like, word, that's happened to me before. But anyway, so I was doing Spanglish already. Ya yo estaba with the Spanglish, whatever. So then that's how me and her communicate. Now we just communicate in Spanglish, like, straight up. Like, she understands me most of the time. Like, sometimes I'll say something, she's like, ¿qué? ¿Cómo fue eso? Like, So, but my mom really, she's pretty good at English. Like she learned mostly by reading a lot and by watching Seinfeld and watching like TV shows like that, like The Office. Like she loves The Office, which is so random.
I love The Office.
The Office is The Office is funny.
Funny.
She also likes The Big Bang Theory.
I love
like,
The
you're
Big
a
Bang
nerd.
Theory.
Oh, so y'all should hang out because
God,
I watch that show and I'm like, all right.
Oh my, yeah, you have to be.
You gotta be
a
a
little
nerd.
to
You gotta
understand.
be a nerd to like The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, because sometimes the mathematic jokes, and I'm like,
and she be rolling, and then it's
Marcella's looking at me like, I don't get it. How were your like responsibilities? Like, did you ever have to translate certain like documents
yes.
or your parent teacher conference?
Yeah, like so this is really funny, right? My dad, mi papá tiene 20 y pico años aquí, ¿verdad? My dad still doesn't know like math, and like it's so weird. I'm like, yo, how do you move around? And because he goes to DC to go to the the state capital, whatever. And I'm like, all these people are speaking English to you, and he just like
he finds a way.
I'm like, yo, that's what's up. And like, but I've had to translate a million things for my dad, like a million things. And my mom too, but not so much because ya había aprendido inglés. So, pero cierta cosa, tú sabes, cierta cosa, or like to pronounce things, like she'll ask me. But outside of that, like, I didn't really have to translate that much. But like, there was a lot of things like like the classic, like, enséñame esto en la computadora.
The computer.
Oh my God. Yeah. And then they get mad at you. They're like, yo, I'm like, yo, but I'm showing you.
Yeah, and then it's like, you can't get mad at me if I can't spell encyclopedia properly. Like, I'm only 6.
Word, like mom, I cannot spell thesaurus right now. Like, for real.
Yeah, I don't know where the apostrophe goes. I just learned how to say I.
Right. Because then they would have these expectations of you to be like,
did you? For real. And it's like, why do you go to school if you can't, Sí,
pero, coño, I read at a second grade level. Like, are you kidding me?
This work clearly is like for high school kids, ma. Like,
word. That's funny.
Did you feel like you had to grow up a little bit faster than most?
Yes. Because, growing up uptown and just like, I always wanted to branch out. I always, from when I was a kid, like I was always into the world. I wanted to see Egypt. I had a really long obsession with Egypt. And I just wanted to expand. And I started working when I was 14 because because I just feel like I wanted responsibility for myself. And I'm the youngest of 4. And my sister's 11 years older than me. So I didn't really have that like sibling, like I kind of was raised like an only child because my sister got married when I was 13, so she just moved out, and then it was just me in the house. And a mí no me gustaba que me digan, oh, you wouldn't have this if this is for me. Like, I was just always a very like, oh, I'm gonna get it myself. If I can get it myself, then it's not for me. And I grew up quickly because of that, and because I was like, I need to see there's so much more than the Bronx. There's so much more than New York City, So I grew up faster. Another reason is because like, growing up in that neighborhood where like I'm from 169 in the Concourse, that's one of the poorest districts in the Bronx, and it's it's drugs, it's teen pregnancy, all of the shit, the whole nine. I've had friends that have died from gun violence, and we all have our own kind of PTSD from that type of shit. So I always made it a mission for myself to be mature enough and have street knowledge where I could like go, like, ¿cómo te digo? Como poder defenderme en el mundo sin que la gente me digan a mí, oh, it's because you're from the Bronx that you act like this. Because I had to deal with that a lot growing up too, you know, because there's kind of like stigma, like, oh, you're from the Bronx. Like, yeah, I'm from the fucking Bronx. Like,
yeah. I mean, but like Bronx
Yo.
girls, Bronx people have a whole different attitude than anyone else.
Well, yeah,
in the other boroughs, because I mean, it's not just it being poor, but it's also a different type of lifestyle because of how the neighborhood is.
Right.
Like, nah,
and you gotta be on the like, you know, it's hard for us to be vulnerable in front of each other out there in the Bronx, because you never know if somebody is trying to do a come up on you or everything is a setup. You know, I'm not trying to be that type of Bronx resident. Not everything is a setup. So you gotta like open your eyes, Bronx people, and we gotta.
But then that also says a lot.
Because mira, el mundo es inmenso.
Yeah.
El mundo es inmenso. Nosotros no podemos, we can't just shut ourselves out of the experience of what life has to offer. Like, we cannot stay stagnant, period. You know? And that was what was most important to me, because when I was going to high school, my homegirls was getting pregnant, having kids. My friends are getting locked up. You know what I mean? My friends were all in beef, and I was always just like, kind of like, you know what? Like, let me do research. Let me read up on things. Let me educate myself, so I know that when I move further, that I know how to how do you say that in English? I always have like a word. You know, so I
say
could,
it in Spanish?
yeah, no, okay, you know, that ever happens to you, like that you think of
Yes.
something and you're like, yo, how do I say this in English?
Facts.
I hate that shit.
Or how do I say that in Spanish?
Or how do I say that in Spanish? But most of the time it's me, how do I say it in English? Because I'm always thinking in Spanish. Pero como para expresarme, como sin tener miedo de expresarme y decir, mira, estos son mis ideales, this is my morals, this is how I think, you know? And like, I'm open to what you think as well, you know what I mean? And being mindful, because a lot of people, I was just talking about this, like, especially Uptown, it's built for us to fail. They want us to go. They want us to leave.
Fact.
They want us to leave, you know? So it's like, we have to educate ourselves and we got to be mindful. And that's why, like, I know I went super off track.
It's okay.
Well, I just had to say it. Because
No,
we got to,
it's definitely, it's so true. Like, this is why I always talk about this. When new stores are starting to open up in these neighborhoods, they open it for a reason.
Right.
They don't want you to leave that neighborhood.
Right.
They want you to stay in that neighborhood, which is why they bring the Starbucks. They bring,
right.
you know, like, what is that?
The Chipotle,
Asian Food Panda Express,
right.
the Chipotle, you know, the mall that there is over
right.
there in the Bronx, that big giant mall.
But if you also think about it, look at how in the low income communities, there's mad smoke shops, there's mad liquor stores.
Facts.
There's mad
liquor
fast
stores and fast food.
You can't tell me there's not, like, I'm gonna tell you, in my neighborhood, maybe there's like 2 or 3 juice bars in my neighborhood, you know, but best believe we got a smoke shop on every corner.
That's so
Pero
true.
tú puedes comprar cerveza, tú puedes comprar cigarrillos, pero tú no puedes comprarte un jugo o una cosa.
That's so true.
And that's how they want to, like.
I remember this one article that I read about Big Pun, his wife. A lot of people, like, if you're a real fan, then you know, but a lot of people don't know that Big Pun wasn't always that big.
Yeah.
This motherfucker used to go out there and play ball every single day. He was an Adonis.
Right.
But she said, and then the Burger King opened. And he was just there. There's no more basketball.
Right.
He was at that Burger King every day.
And that's that bullshit.
He got back his settlement because something had happened and his mom was like suing, you know, like the neighborhood or que sé yo qué. He got that money. Burger King. And this is what happens.
Because there's a chicken spot on every corner. You feel me? And it's like, and it's also that kind of like, because Bronx people, we have that fight or flight kind of attitude, because it's just like, this is what I know. A lot of people over there are like, this is what I know. Why would I want to go anywhere else?
It's the same thing in South Jamaica.
I can imagine.
It's the same thing in South Jamaica. Because now going back, and I'm like, they're, you know that little seating area that now they have in Union Square? Mm-hmm. They're starting to do the same thing in South Jamaica. It's already congested as fuck with all the traffic and the buses making that turn. Now is a whole bunch of seating areas. So now getting back to your experience, growing up, how do you, did you ever feel out of place from the lack of representation? Because I know, back then, we grew up, around the same. There wasn't really any Dominicans. It was just mostly Puerto Ricans, Mexicans. Right. Those were the only Spanish people.
What, in my neighborhood? Or
Yeah, in your neighborhood.
Yeah, my neighborhood. Well, where I live at, it's a mix of everything. It's a mix of everything. So I grew up having friends of all different cultures. So it wasn't really I feel like what was Dominican for me was the Heights. The Heights was DR, But growing up where I grew up, it was such a melting pot. I had friends from Africa. I had friends from everywhere.
That's awesome.
Everywhere. And what I feel lack of representation for me was especially just in culture, in pop culture, I guess you could call that. Mm-hmm. There wasn't really representation for girls that looked like me. That girls that had curly hair and natural girls and nothing like that. I remember skin. Right. And I remember one of the first people that caught my eye with cultural representation was Omaira Mota.
Oh my God.
And I love Omaira Mota. Shout out Patricia Mota, that's my girl. So yeah, she was so different. She was so different. She was so beautiful. Yeah. And on top of that, she's Dominican too. So I was like, it's una diosa.
And on top of that, she looks indigenous.
Yes. She is so gorgeous. And, me growing up, a lot of people always used to tell me I look really different. A lot of people think I'm Middle Eastern or Persian or something, and I'm like, okay, but if you're Dominican, you could tell I'm Dominican. Yo tengo el plátano ahí en la cara. But people that don't know, and it was always really interesting because people always ask me where I was from, and be like, are you Ethiopian? Are you
I could see the Ethiopian yeah. I could see it a little
I have a friend that's Ethiopian, and she says I look more Ethiopian than she does, which is true. But it just goes to show how broad, just our communities are, genetically, because my sister is light skinned, super, super, super light skinned, and she looks like she's from Mexico. People tell her all the time. They're like, "Oh, you from Mexico?" She's like, "No, I'm Dominican." They're like, That's crazy. And then my mom is like, she looks mad Dominican. My mom looks mad Dominican, but it's just crazy, just the mix. And when I was growing up, it wasn't like I never felt like the art was not represented wherever I was at, because my mom was always making sure con la música, con la comida, con cultura dominicana. Yo sabía. Ya a los 10 años, yo sabía música vieja. I used to know Fernandito, Juan Luis Guerra. I grew up on all those type of people, Victor, and the music also it was very important for me in my representation growing up, because that's how I kind of found out about a lot of things and the story behind a lot of this music. And it was amazing. And especially learning about Las Hermanas Mirabal, I learned about them, and I immediately was inspired because I wanted to be a lawyer at one point in my life. And just my mom instilled in me also strong women in my life. Y más la mujer dominicana, tú sabes, porque la mujer, y más the mujeres period, but like with the women that I grew up around, like we're all strong women. We're all very strong and capable women. And she made sure like these are the people that came before you. Learn about them, like let them inspire you. You know what I mean?
That's awesome. That's really, really awesome. So how did you get into photography?
So going back to my mom, because my mom is like a lot of like, she might not think, she's gonna hear this, so she might not think it, but she is really the driving force behind my photography. She was the first person to actually be like, you should look into doing photography, because we went to DR together for my grandmother's 80th birthday. And a friend of mine had lent me a camera, and he was like, oh, just do your thing out there, whatever. So that was the first time I ever had a camera. It was like a Fujifilm. It was like a Fujifilm point and shoot, like regular family camera.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I guess it would be like the exposure, like the sky would come out pink. For no, like it would just be a set, like I don't know why, but it just would. And I was just like, okay, this is pretty cool. And I was just taking photos out there, so I would show them to my mom, and my mom is like, you should really do photography. And I'm like, oh, all right, mom, like I'll see, I'll think about it. Like not like I'll think about it, but I just kind of was like, all right, cool, yeah, word, like whatever. So while I was out there, my boy hit me up, and he was like, you know what, you should just keep the camera, just keep it. And he let me keep the camera, and it was mine. And once I came back to New York, I just started going around the city, taking photos of architecture, the Brooklyn Bridge and stuff like that. And then I was like, why don't I make prints out of it? Why don't I like... And it was just kind of very natural. I was 23. I was 23 years old. And I was going through a lot of... it was a very weird period in my life. Like, I was 23. I didn't really have... Yo no tenía como un camino. Yo no sabía lo que yo quería hacer. Yo estaba... I was really not doing shit with my life. And then it was just like, I was always a very creative person. I've always liked like arts and crafts and stuff, and like movies and all of that. So it just felt safe to me. Once I just started doing that and just going out for walks and just going and shooting, it just felt right. And then I just kept on going, and yeah.
And here you are.
Yeah.
How has your art helped you?
In so many ways, like I couldn't even begin. Like, most importantly, it's made me be proud of myself.
That's deep.
'Cause it took me a long time for me to be proud of myself and to feel like I was doing something right, or like, it just took me a really long time to accept that within myself, because I've always been very hard on myself. And it taught me to be grateful. It taught me so much gratitude. And I've met people like you. I've met so many wonderful people. Like, I'll be here all day talking about the different experiences that I've had with people and the connections that I've had with people, like on a genuine human level, like outside of it being like, oh, because I'm an artist, or oh, because I'm taking your picture. Like, it's been experiences in my life that I will never forget, because I've had people genuinely come up to me and just like, and it's that same gratitude. Like, I always show the same gratitude, because like, it's brave what we're doing.
That's so true.
It's brave what we're doing. We're out here putting ourselves out there.
Yeah.
And we're braver than what we think. And I was very shy growing up. Yo era bien llorona. And I was mad ñoña. I was a llorona. Like, I was always like, oh, like, I don't want to do this thing. But it taught me that I could do anything. Doing art made me feel like I could do anything in this world, because there's nothing you can lose. Like, there's nothing. We're winging it. we're essentially winging it, guys, and we're doing a great fucking job, and we're winging it because we're figuring it out every day.
Yeah.
Like, there's not a plan to this, you know. And like, I'm so eternally grateful. Like, I don't even know what my life was before art. Like, it's hard for me to even speak about my life before art because I don't even know. Like, it's so important to me. It's been so important to me, and it's the driving force for me to continue doing this and to help others too, you know, like, and to motivate others, because that's what we got to do. We got to be a reflection of each other.
Facts.
And we got to keep going, because you know what? Nothing is going to be given to you. So we got to go get it. And that was my motivational speech of the day.
What do you hope to leave for the generations to come?
Damn, that's a question. What do I hope? Well, I you know, like, the legacy that I want to leave is especially for young girls of color, you know, like girls from Uptown, from the hood or whatever, you know. I want these girls to know that they can do it. That there's nothing stopping them. There's nothing stopping you. Like, there's a little girl that she's been coming to my exhibits, like, since she was like I think she's 9 now. She's been coming to my exhibits since she was like 6. And you know, she's getting older, so every time I see her, she's older, and now she has a film camera. Like, she started shooting. So she started shooting. Like, her dad told me, like, oh, she came to your show, and she told me, like, she wanted to start taking pictures. And is that kind of, like, it's those kind of things is what drives me. Like, I'm like, you know, we need like, okay, for example, I did a career day in my old preschool not that long ago, and it was a lot of little girls coming up to me and being like, so what do you do? I'm like, oh, I'm an artist. They're like, I'm a painter. I wanna do. I'm a dancer and all of these things. But then society is gonna make these little girls think that that's not, you know what I mean? That's not enough.
Yeah.
You know, and they need to see people like us.
That's very true.
They need to see that we look like you. We grew up the same way as you, but that's not. Eso no te impide no ser what you want to do. Like, and now I feel like there's like a renaissance right now of artists, of just like, I've never, not even when I was growing up, I never saw nothing like this. You know, like art shows and like so much, like, you know, how there's such an emphasis in creativity right now, especially in New York. You know, that's why it's important to keep this what we're doing right now. In 10, 15 years, or even in 5 years, people are gonna be like, yo, they did that. Like, they did that.
Yo, facts.
For real. And we gotta be proud, and we gotta continue to do this, because like, even though we feel like sometimes we may feel like people are not looking or not, you know, people are looking at us.
Yo, that's
Trust
so
me.
true. That's true.
Because you don't know who's looking at your shit on Instagram or whatever. Like, you never know. Like, so.
Looking back, would you change anything?
Would I change anything? No. I would not. I don't regret anything. Like, because it's just been so... I've had L's. I've had great moments. I've had, you know, moments where I'm like, I just want to quit. I'm done.
That imposter syndrome.
Yeah, it's the imposter syndrome. 2020, I'm trying not to have imposter. Like, because it's hard for you not to have imposter syndrome.
Very true.
And to compare yourself to others. It's hard. But, you know, I don't regret anything, because I've just learned so much. And even from the bad things, I've learned so much. And it's all a lesson. Everything is a lesson. Everything is a blessing as well. Like, you never know. It's something that you feel is the end of the world, which is really not, because we're so blessed and we're always abundant. Like, we could be going through things, but the things that we stress out about, people wish to have our problems.
Yo, for real.
And that's helped me a lot to cope with a lot of things. To be like, you know what? That's why I don't regret anything.
Yeah.
Because it is what it is. Like, you can't control the world. The world doesn't revolve around you. So, motivational message number 2. I'm about to get a turtleneck and the little glasses.
Oh, Steve Jobs.
Yes. And we're like, all right, and today.
All right, guys, so it's time for that One Piece, not to be confused with that wildly popular anime we all know and love. This is that one piece of advice you would give to your younger you. So let's start with you, Carlita. What piece of advice would you give to a younger you?
Damn, you're hitting me hard with these questions. I'm kidding. What would I tell my younger self? To be strong and be smart and like, ¿cómo te digo? Like, to just be strong with yourself, because I feel like there was a lot of times I was vulnerable and weak when I was growing up because of trauma that I was going through. And I wish, but we're young, so we don't know. So like, just be strong, just to focus. Like, that's what I would tell my younger self. Like, you're gonna figure it out. Because I knew I was gonna I'm not saying that I knew I was gonna figure it out, but I knew when I was younger that it wasn't gonna be forever. The way that I felt inside, like, it wasn't gonna be forever, because I promised myself that. So yeah, being strong, that was it, I think.
So Carlita, put us on. What can we expect from you this year?
I don't know. You gotta stay tuned. I'm working on a few things. Maybe a solo exhibit soon, because I like it's torturous. I don't know why. I just like having fun, but like I like having fun with it, but having a solo exhibit is a lot of fucking work. So yeah, maybe a show soon. And I'm releasing some t-shirts within the next few weeks, and I'm also updating my website, so if you want to contact me or anything like that, it's gonna be easier. Oh, and my information is my Instagram is Carlita's Way. It's CARLITAZ_way, and my website is CarlitaLopezImages.com.
Nice.
Bye.
Bueno, guys, we have reached to the end of this episode. Before I bid you all adieu, I want to pose a question to you all, mi gente. This week, I want to ask, oye, mi gente, what was the biggest thing you learned this past year? Piénsalo. Feel free to leave your insight and answers in the comment and review sections. All right, guys, that's it for this week's episode. I want to give you, Carlita, a big thank you for joining me today. You are amazing. Your art is amazing. Thank you for all your contributions. Our future generation is going to look back and see themselves through you.
They can't see what I'm doing, but...
Remember to follow us at OMG Podcast on Instagram. We are available on all your favorite streaming platforms. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a comment and a review in the review section below. Also follow at Deacon Media on Instagram and Twitter. And if you want to know more about the Deacon Media Network and what we do, you can check out the entire Deacon Media family on deaconmedia.com. Ciao!